In many of our previous Las Vegas hotel videos, we've gotten requests for us to make a video with tips for staying at the Palazzo. And while we had stayed at the Venetian before, we decided to go back and stay in the Palazzo Tower so that we could make a video with the pros and cons for staying here. So in this video, we're going to share all of our pros and cons for staying at the Palazzo, as well as give you several tips for when you visit here next.
The first thing we want to mention is that the Palazzo is actually attached to the Venetian. The experience staying at either one is honestly very similar, and it's often hard to differentiate where one resort ends and the other one begins.
They share a lot of things, including restaurants, activities, and they have the same spa. While they do have separate pools, they are located on the same rooftop and you will have access to both pool areas. So when you stay at the Palazzo, you will likely end up spending time in both resorts. Personally, we find this to be a massive pro because there is so much to see, do, shop, and eat between both resorts that you never have to leave the property during your whole stay if you don't want to.
So that being said, let's start with the first pro, which is that there are plenty of things to do here. As far as restaurants go, there are an abundant variety of options located inside of the Palazzo, including Hong Kong Cafe, Lavo Italian Restaurant, Wakuda, Miznan, Hasalan, Mott 32, the Grand Lux Cafe, and Cut by Wolfgang Puck, just to name a few of them.
Located just outside of the Palazzo is Restaurant Row in the Venetian, which has even more options, with some of our favorites being Matteo's, Yardbird, Noodle Asia, and Donatique. And of course, the further you go into the Venetian, you'll find even more restaurants. Between the two resorts, there are well over 60 restaurants, so you're never going to run out of options during your stay.
Now that we've covered restaurants, let's move on to shopping. While there is a ton of shopping in both the Palazzo and the Venetian, probably the most popular area is the unique shopping mall referred to as the Grand Canal Shops. This is where you'll find a variety of high-end boutiques as well as Las Vegas souvenir shops and novelty stores.
Alright, let's move on to the pools here at the Palazzo. We've been to a lot of the Las Vegas hotel pools, and the ones here at the Palazzo and Venetian are some of the best on the Strip. One thing that we really liked was that there are so many separate pools here that you can really spread everyone out and they don't feel crowded, even in the summer months.
We stayed here in the height of summer, and there were even some pools that were completely empty. There are a variety of cabanas and lounge areas that you can rent, and there's also a poolside restaurant and retail store. As we already mentioned, another great perk about staying here is not only do you have access to the Palazzo pools, but you also have access to all of the Venetian pools as well, so that gives you even more options to choose from.
Along with the pools, overnight guests also get access to a great spa and fitness area. The Canyon Ranch Spa is a Forbes Travel Guide 4-star spa and offers more than 150 different services to choose from. The fitness center was very impressive as well. It features a 40-foot rock climbing wall, group fitness classes, personal trainers, and more equipment than you'd ever know what to do with. If staying active on vacation matters to you, this gym definitely delivers.
The last thing that we'll mention is that there are so many touristy things to do here. Once again, with easy access to both the Palazzo and the Venetian, you're never going to run out of things to do. Some of the most popular activities include live performances, gondola rides with both indoor and outdoor options to choose from. There's the famous love sign that you can take pictures with, multiple escape rooms, a -5 ice experience, the Palazzo Theater, and that's not even the full list.
Moving on to our next pro, let's talk about ambiance. The Palazzo is gorgeous. The outside of this resort is beautiful, but especially so at nighttime when they light up the exterior. They even had color-changing lights on the palm trees.
Moving into the lobby, the check-in area is also gorgeous. There's a stunning 50-foot tall glass dome in the center of the room that lets in a ton of natural light. Even if you don't stay at the Palazzo, it's worth walking through this entrance area just to see how beautiful it is.
Alright, let's move on to some of the conveniences here, both good and bad. The first pro is that if you arrive early and your room is not ready yet, you can utilize the luggage drop so that you can enjoy the resort while you wait. It is located downstairs from the lobby near the Uber pickup location.
Another convenient pro is that you can use mobile check-in instead of having to wait in the long check-in lines. Simply check in online and then walk up to the mobile check-in counter to receive your key. This saves a lot of time and is a tip that we highly recommend you take advantage of. Keep in mind, you can also check out on your phone to save time at the end of your stay, and there are boxes to drop your keys as well.
The Palazzo has a very nice Uber pickup area with minimal lines for taxis as well. In fact, even when we're staying at the Venetian, we usually choose to walk to the Palazzo to use Uber because it is so much nicer.
Another con is that the Palazzo and Venetian are both very crowded and typically busy at all times. If you're not a fan of crowds, then you should probably avoid this location. But something that is both a pro and a con for us is the size of this resort all combined.
The pro is that you never have to leave because there's so much to see and do here, but the con is that it's gigantic and can be confusing to navigate and get around. We did find the Venetian to be more confusing though, so if you're staying at the Palazzo, you should have a much easier time learning the layout.
Now let's talk about the location. This one is a con because it's located near the end of the Strip, and it is far away from a lot of other popular resorts like the Bellagio, Caesar's Palace, and Paris, to name a few. This means that unless you're up for a lot of walking, you'll have to take an Uber or taxi if you plan to explore much more of the Las Vegas Strip.
And finally, let's talk about another pro, which is the rooms themselves. All of the rooms here are actually suites, which is very nice. We stayed in the Palazzo Tower Luxury 2 Queen Suite. At 720 square feet, the room was not only much larger than we are typically used to, but it was great to have a separate sitting room area.
The first thing you'll see when you enter the room is the large bathroom, which included a separate bathtub and a walk-in shower, double sinks, a nice sitting vanity area, and the toilet in its own private room. There was also a floor-length mirror in the entry, which is a nice bonus. The bedroom had 2 queen beds that we found to be decently comfortable. There were 2 TVs, one in the bedroom area and one in the sunken sitting room.
The sitting room also had a couch, as well as a desk area, and a table and chairs. Considering we are used to having just the beds and maybe an extra chair, this was a very welcome change and we really enjoyed it.
Another con is that the rooms here are typically not as budget friendly as some of the other resorts on the Strip. We paid $258 with taxes and fees per night, which is more than we typically like to spend on a hotel room. If you check out their website, you can see the prices coming up and book your stay based on that if you have flexibility.
Let us know in the comments which resort we should stay at next in Las Vegas, and check out this video next to see our tips for staying at the New York Las Vegas Resort, which is another fun hotel to stay at here on the Las Vegas Strip.